Sergey's up here. We got the message that Tristan's out for a few weeks. You've been going 50-50 with your goaltending rotation. Is that still the plan with Sergey here, or how much do you anticipate him playing?
Well, I mean, I guess I'll even go on the start of that with the going 50-50. That's been the case up to this point. Like, at no point did we say, this is something we're locked in and has to be this way. We're like everything else. We're constantly evaluating. We're constantly looking what those options are. In terms of, right now, in terms of how we're going to go through things, like, we're still having conversations. We're having conversations with coaching staff, conversations with Andy Scioto, and the rest of the staff. And so we're going to continue to have those conversations, make decisions based on what we think is best. And that those conversations will continue to go from game to game.
Just 3 housekeeping items, if I may. First, with Tristan, was he injured during the game, or was that something he even came into the game with?
It was during the game.
Okay. It looked like Phil Hollander left practice even before it maybe began. Is there any status on him?
No updates.
And Harrison, 9-game limit or barrier. Is there any decision on him as of yet?
No, we're continuing to evaluate and go through things, and so we're still in that process.
What kind of reports do you get on Ryan Graves' play down in the AHL, and are they things that you think are transferable up here?
The reports were outstanding. I mean, that's I think with Graves and with Heinen, I mean, that's obviously a tough situation. These are guys that have been in the league for a long time, and it's that those were the decisions that we made. I think there's 2 roads that they could have gone down in terms of how they wanted to handle it. Both guys chose the correct path and the right path for them. They went down there with great attitudes. I mean, even from I'm in constant communication. Trying every at least couple of weeks. I'm talking with Kirk, and we're getting constant reports there from Jason Spezza and Amanda Kessel, and so we're hearing things all the time. And so right away the reports were great in terms of, number one, the approach that they took when they went down there, and then the work that they put in, and then they followed it up with their play. And so all those things, were at a very, very high level. Both guys are playing very well. Are they things that, going back to your question, are those areas that, are going to be transferable? Like everything that we saw, we believe they are, I think is, and it's a credit to the work that, that Ryan did going down there and just making sure that his approach is making the best of the situation and controlling what he can control. And so from all those reports and from everything that we saw, it's he's set himself up there when an opportunity presents itself like it has.
Dan, you guys have spent a lot of time on the road to start this season. So how much are you looking forward to being back at PPG Paints Arena tomorrow night in front of the fan base? And what have been your impressions overall of the fan base, of the support, of the city since taking over as head coach?
No, I mean, you can tell just the passion from the fan base. It's been outstanding. I think that was really... you could see that, even during exhibition. Obviously, I think I got a little bit spoiled there when it comes to exhibition games there at the Marc-Andre Fleury game, and having a packed house there for that. And I recognize that's not always the case in exhibition games, but, it's obviously, it's a city that cares a lot about, this team. It cares a lot about all the sports, just deeply, deeply passionate, and excited to get back here, excited to be back at home. It has felt like a lot of time there on the road. So we need to make sure we'll be ready to go here tomorrow night and ready to play in front of our fans.
Dan, you don't seem like a guy who gets rattled, but there was a lot of news that came out yesterday with your roster, and there's one full practice before you play against Alex Ovechkin in Washington. How do you handle that? I mean, you just go with each individual position. You got to have new lines and maybe some new pairs and figure out who's going to be back when and things like that. How do you handle that as a first-year coach?
Yeah, I think having yesterday to just be able to go through some things with the staff, and obviously we had the lines we did the way we had them there today in practice was something that we wanted to see. Some different combinations. but today gave it also having a good practice day was nice. We haven't had a lot of those just being on the road. Like it's been really, it feels like it's been a while since we've really been able to have like a real practice. And so, we felt like we were able to get in some things that were going to be, good for everybody. For the guys that have been here all year, it's also some stuff that's, good for the guys coming in, some stuff that's, going to be good to just put lines together and pairs together and give them a little bit of time if they've been new. And so we were able to get that. And, we'll talk through some things as a staff here based on what we saw and make some final decisions there going into tomorrow.
Dan, I think there's a tendency when people evaluate Penguins games, they tend to just look at the Penguins and not the other team. I would imagine the Leafs were pretty upset with the way things were going for them the other night. How much of the change in momentum has to do you think, with the two-team dynamic as opposed to just how great the Penguins were? And how do you bottle what you did for the first two periods knowing that the other team still is going to be pushing back?
Yeah. No, we were very happy, obviously, the first two periods. I think it's just staying with it, in those, in those moments. Like, I thought, obviously, we're happy with two periods, but, we have to play the third. It can't happen. What happened can't happen. And so, I think it's, not getting away from things that work, not getting away from some of those things that might seem minor, but that end up being big. Just, I think, on the first two periods there, like our ability to take away time and space, our gaps, just kind of our speed to support pucks, our speed to move pucks was very much in line with, what we're working towards. And we got away from that some there in the, in the third period. And I think that's when, things started to happen the other way. And, I think the lesson is you gotta stick with it. I think it wasn't, for me, it wasn't a matter of guys not, caring or working. It was just a little bit of us getting away from what had been working there collectively. And so that's what we worked on some things today, and we've got to find a way to get better.
Stuff on the left.
Kevin Hayes worked on that line with Blake and Connor. First, is Kevin an option for tomorrow? And just if you do use him on that line, just what does he offer in that capacity?
Yeah, so no, we're still kind of, with Kevin, it's still working through things, and so exactly when we're at that point right now where he's able to get full team practices, but we're still looking at different steps, and we're still having those conversations, to finalize, when that is going to be available for games. But he's obviously getting real close. He's getting close, and so he got the reps there today in practice. So we'll we got to continue to have conversations, continue to evaluate the decisions being made there. Obviously, when somebody's been out for a while too, it's always looking at what's going to be best to make sure that fully ready to go, getting enough practices in, getting enough of the skates in there, and so we're still working through that.
Kelsey in the back.
Ben's obviously been playing third line center for you guys up to this point in the season, and he got some reps with Sid and Rusty up there today. Just what went into that decision to kind of get him some reps up on that top line, and how do you kind of manage that with him being a center and just manage that with him moving to the wing on the top line there? Yeah.
No, I mean, I think it's something we want to see today in practice. And like I said before, we're still going to have some conversations and make some final determinations in terms of how things are going to look tomorrow. That was, we feel like, he has gone on the wing at times. Like there's been, even last game, there were some times we've spotted him on there, seen him do it before. You go back to exhibition, we had the opportunities there. I believe it was one game where we put him on the wing, or at least got some time there on the wing. And so there's been enough of an evaluation in the past for us to feel comfortable with seeing what that looks like. And so, and I think it's, obviously those guys are together on the power play. We've seen them, be able to read up each other, make plays out with each other. So something we wanted to look at.